Let's just hit some of these quick games. 5A, a rematch. Goshen Carroll, the Mike Chevron Bowl, we'll call it again. Goshen wins in week 1. What happens on Friday?
You know, the opposite of what happened in the opening week when Goshen came down to Carroll and upset Carroll. I really think Carroll, even though they have not played well of late in the last 3 or 4 weeks, I think that they have revenge on their mind. They've had a better season overall, and they are the home team. And both of these teams are really strong. It's funny because or interesting, I should say, because they're identical teams. They struggle offensively, but they're very solid defensively. I think Carroll, being on their home field, gets it done this week and knocks off Goshen.
And Carroll with John Hester at wide receiver. If you just throw Hester the ball, you've got a pretty good shot at it.
He'll go up and get it. So.
Okay, also, let's look in 5A. A good Kokomo team, 8-2, visits Homestead. Can they contain Zach Terrell?
Only if Zach Terrell gets the flu and stays home eating chicken soup or something like that. No, Kokomo will be out of this game before halftime. Homestead is too strong offensively and defensively, and we've seen what happens when Kokomo comes and plays a really good Fort Wayne area team. They've gotten their butts handed to them by Snyder the last 2 years, so Homestead will win this game going away.
Yeah, Kokomo kind of showed their true colors last year coming to Spooler Stadium undefeated, and they lost with a 44-14 loss to Snyder. So Homestead probably have the hand up in that one.
Yeah.
In 4A, another rematch, East Noble, Concord. East Noble, maybe a surprise win in that first week, a 13-7 win over the Minutemen. What happens on Friday?
It's going to be a really difficult game for East Noble. I know they did beat Concord to start the season, which really caught a lot of people off guard. East Noble is playing really well of late. They've won 4 of their last 5. But boy, Concord plays some really good teams up there, and they are really, really strong defensively. They only give up 11 points a game. I think East Noble has trouble scoring against Concord, and I think the Minutemen knock off the Knights this week.
Yeah, Concord's just one of those teams when the postseason rolls around, you can count on them for a few wins. So, but I'm not going to count out East Noble.
No, it'll be a very good game.
Yeah, East Noble, they can control the ball. They can control what happens in the game, so they definitely have a shot in that one as well. Let's move on to Leo at Marion. The undefeated Lions, you know, they lost Gage Corner for the playoffs, but it didn't show in that first game.
It does hurt them offensively because he is a go-to guy that you kind of like Hester. You can just throw the ball in his vicinity and he'll go up and get it. I saw him make one-handed catch against Garrett this year that was spectacular. Leo doesn't have any problem with Marion. Marion is better this year than they've been in years past, but they're still horrible defensively. They give up 34 points a game, and Leo will take full advantage of that with their balanced offense between running and passing, and they will score a lot of points on Marion. I think Leo wins this. Even though it's a road game for them, they'll win this going away.
Yeah, I think the Lions are determined to equal, if not better, that semi-state berth from a year ago. Let's go to 3A. Interesting game here. Whitco at Garrett. Whitco struggles against the 1-9 Concordia last week. They pull out an 18-15 win with a late field goal. Garrett beats a pretty solid Tippecanoe Valley team, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Todd Fricky, I didn't see him in the box score.
You know, I'm not sure on that. I'd have to look that up.
Yeah, I didn't see his name in the box score, so I don't know if he didn't play, if he wasn't available, but I mean, if they can beat Tippecanoe Valley without Fricky, I imagine what can they do with him against Whitco?
Right, Tippecanoe Valley is a very solid team, and they went over there to Mentone and beat them 27-14 on the road. This will come down to the Garrett run game versus the Whitco defense. Whitco is really solid defensively, only gives up 14 and change in points per game. I think Garrett, if they have the ability to run the ball, will be successful. That's what they've shown all year. But boy, you're right. There are 2 games that I really think are this close, and Garrett Whitco's one of them. The other one's a Class 8 game between South Adams and Union City that we'll touch on in a minute. But yeah, this is all going to come down to can Garrett run the ball or can Whitco stop the run, and whichever wins that battle will win the game.
Another game, 3A, 9-1 Lakeland, 8-2 Jimtown. You know, Lakeland's never won a sectional championship. The Jimtown Jimmies, they've won plenty. This one could come down to experience.
It will. Jimtown is a program that has all the experience in the world. They go to the state finals. They don't just worry about sectionals. Lakeland's the up-and-comer that's playing really good defense this year. They slowed Cherubusco down a lot, nearly beat Cherubusco, scared the bejesus out of Lee Etzler, but Busco found a way to win. Lakeland's having a marvelous season, a season for the memories, but Jimtown does this every single year. I'd be shocked if Lakeland knocks off the Jimmies, but it could happen.
And you're a Muncie fellow, so
I'm a Yorktown grad.
You're a Yorktown grad.
Yes.
So we've got Belmont hosting Yorktown. The Braves open up with a 63-7 win over Blackford. They're only 4-6 on the record. Right. Does your Yorktown team win?
Yes, Yorktown will win. They are solid on both sides of the ball. Belmont, they've been up and down. They're kind of a schizophrenic team. One week they look really good, other weeks they don't. I do think Yorktown plays a difficult schedule with Delta and some of those other tough teams in that area. I think Yorktown goes on the road and gets a win, and if they don't, I'll cry.
And if that's not a homer call, I don't know what
That's right. Go Tigers.
Let's go to 2A, another situation. You've got Bremen, perennial powerhouse in the postseason, taking on a Manchester squad. I think Manchester's going to have their hands full.
They're going to have their hands full in pregame warm-ups. I mean, Bremen are really, really good this year, having a marvelous season. Manchester doesn't play in the league or play the type of schedule that Bremen does every year. Bremen rolls on this. Get there early because it'll be over halfway through the second quarter.
Yeah, the Lions are undefeated. I think they give up less than 12 points a game.
Yeah, they're tough this year.
Manchester is going to have to definitely find a way to score to even have a chance in that one.
Right.
Let's go to a different game here. Let me find my notes here. 2A, again, Busco trying to keep their undefeated season intact, taking on Madison Grant. And the last time the Argyles came up this way, they left very unhappy. Probably going to happen again.
Happened twice now as of Friday because Busco is really, really strong defensively, and Madison Grant is horrible defensively. They give up almost 30 points a game. Don't think Busco won't take advantage of that. This looks like a really good game on paper because Madison Grant's 7-3, and obviously Busco's undefeated. But Cherubusco will win this easily because they are just so much better defensively. The Argyles, the Fighting Sox, they will struggle to score against that Cherubusco defense.
And we can only hope it sets up the big championship match because in the other half of that bracket, Lures travels to the east side. Last time the Knights traveled to Butler, 1994, and the Blazers won.
I wasn't aware of that. That's very interesting.
Do you think that happens again?
No, too much talent, too many weapons, and this Lures team really is focused. You would think that after all they've accomplished this year, maybe they kind of take a week off or whatever. They never do. They play well every single week on both sides of the ball. They have way too many weapons. But give credit to Eastside this year because they have had a marvelous season. You know, they started that program 3 or 4 years ago with a new coach, and he has just worked year in and year out to kind of rebuild the confidence in those kids. And this year with them having a 7-win season, that's just marvelous on their part.
Yeah, we don't want to take anything away from the Blazers. 7-3 is a great season, but when you're trying to stop a record-setting quarterback and a 5-star recruit running back, it's going to be a tough.
You haven't even gotten to Michael Rogers, who may be the best receiver in the area, and Montez Brooks is a great linebacker. And yeah, they've just got Lures has weapons everywhere, and they'd be a competitive team if they were in the 4A tournament.
Absolutely. Oh, just a couple more games left here. Let's go to 1A. Fremont, Adams Central, teams that may have looked like they've struggled on paper, maybe kind of turn it on here in the postseason. Fremont, you stop their rush attack, you stop them.
Well, you do, but you know, Adams Central's a really interesting program because year in and year out, they seem like they struggle in the regular season, but something clicks with them in the postseason, and they've really played well as of late, won 3 straight. I think that because they're in a little bit tougher league, they play some bigger schools in that ACAC that preps them for the single-A tournament once the season ends. I think the Flying Jets get their 4th win in a row this week, and I think that they do it with some breathing room.
Yeah, I think Fremont really struggled most of the season, and Adams Central, you know, they started off well, hit a lull, they're getting back on the right track. So yeah, I think the Jets get the win in that one. And let's finish out South Adams, 9-1, their greatest season since 1992 when they captured a regional championship. They traveled to Union City, 2 9-1 teams, Randolph County. Best game of the night?
Best game of the night without question. These two teams are very, very interesting, very evenly matched. They're both struggling programs in recent history, but they've rebuilt and they've had magical seasons this year. Both 9-1, they both run the ball well, they both have very good defenses. There is not a real discrepancy between these two teams. This is going to come down to the final minutes of this game. Best matchup of the night. I have to give the favor, you know, a little bit of leeway to the Indians. They'll be on their home field, but boy, it wouldn't shock me at all if the Starfighters come out of there with a monumental win. This is essentially the sectional championship game.
Yeah, I can't say that I know a lot about Union City. They're out of our region, but I know a lot about the Starfighters and Dustin Warner and Marcus Rich, and you get those guys rolling. I mean, they're tough to stop.
They have so many different guys that can run the ball for them. That's one thing that if you take one guy away from them, or one guy maybe tweaks an ankle or whatever, so what? They've got 2 or 3 other guys that they can run and get yardage out of. And so when you have all those multiple weapons back there, from a defensive standpoint, you don't know who to focus on, and they do all that misdirection and movement, and it's just crazy trying to defend them. And they've had a great season. Nobody, including the Pig at the News-Sentinel, thought much of South Adams coming into this year, and they have shown the Pig and everybody else that this has been a great year for them.
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, when I previewed South Adams to start the year, I said, you watch out for the Starfighters this year. And they've just certainly produced.
Well, you're smarter than the Pig.
I would hope so. I'm not a bovine. All right, he's Tom Davis. I'm Ross Kinsey. Read about it in the News-Sentinel and watch it on the Highlight Zone Friday night.